Hey everyone, welcome back to Don't Worry, I'm Here. In this week's episode, I am joined with a very special guest, the ritual woman, Elissa Wilson. How are you today, Elissa?
I am amazing. Thank you so much for having me in the space.
Yeah. Would you be able to tell the listeners and viewers a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I've come into this space as like the ritual woman because of my own personal journey. Really finding it was much easier for me to anchor into my healing and my emotional and personal and spiritual development journey through anchoring into rituals, and just love setting up rituals for my own, like in my own space for my own personal practice. And I do also love the ritual of women sitting in circle and doing other ritual type events as well.
Yeah. So one term that you have created is the magic of intentions. Would you be able to discuss that in detail?
Yeah. So I find so many people talk about intention and setting intentions. And sometimes when I hear that and I hear all the words that come after setting an intention, there just seems like a lot of information. And what can happen when we're setting an intention, what we're really wanting to do is create an end result. Our intention, we're putting it out, and that's the thing that we want to create. But when our intentions get really complicated or they're not really well thought out, all of those energies end up in that sort of end result, and they can end up competing with each other and almost like canceling each other out. And it's really hard to remember all of the stuff that we've said. And I know I've had a tendency in the past as well to want to use all of these like beautiful words as well to try and describe something, which I think can be really important. But when the sentence or the intention gets so complicated that we can't remember what it was, that also makes it hard to anchor into that magic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just really love to talk about like the power of intention, because that is the end result of what we want to create. And if we can't draw all of the magic out of that from the start, it kind of makes anything that happens after that intention setting kind of just a bit ordinary instead of extraordinary.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so for me, intentions are really setting us up to be in tension. And there's a difference between creating stress tension and creative tension. And for me, when we can pop ourselves in the tension of creating something, and we're able to sit with that tension and let it sort of build without having to go into stress where we want to make something happen, and we end up trying to manipulate something or try to figure out how we're going to get to that end result. When we can create a creative tension and be comfortable in not yet having the thing that we want, but knowing that it's coming, and can get into that sort of juicy space, then we don't actually have to do anything, and we can allow the energy of the intention to inspire us to take action. So it's nothing to do, but action to still take. Um, so yeah, I think it's really important to have very clear, very simple, very felt intentions.
Yeah.
And I really love it just to choose to be of service to my highest perspective. And if I'm working with other people, everybody's highest perspective. And then choose to get the benefit of the process, which is A, B, C, like whatever it is that you're choosing to do. If it's a sitting in a ritual, or you're going into a job interview, or whatever it is that you're about to walk into, just choosing to get the benefit of the end result.
Yeah.
And that's almost enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically it's going with the flow and not like overcomplicating things.
Yeah. Yep. Keep it simple, keep it felt, because when we can feel it in our bodies, um, when we go into imagination,
Yeah.
our brain doesn't actually know the difference between reality and fantasy. So
Mm.
if you can create that end result of the thing that you want to feel, and you can feel it in your body, and create that little fantasy in your head, it helps you to anchor in that, because your
Yeah.
mind then goes, oh, we've already got it. We know what that feels like.
Yeah.
We know how to get there again.
Yeah.
So that's also really, really important, to feel what it is that you want to create.
Yeah. But that being said as well, you also have to put in the work. Like you can't, you know what I mean? You can't just like think I'm gonna get this and then not put in any. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this sort of, I like this image of, oh, I want to manifest something, so all I have to do is think about it and think that like I've got it and that's all I have to do.
Yeah.
Um, like I was talking before, it's about creating that tension
Yeah.
so that the magic can actually happen. But there isn't anything to do, as in there isn't things that you have to go out and make them.
Yeah.
However, when you're sitting in that tension, you'll notice that things are bubbling up and you're naturally inspired to take action.
Yeah.
So, what that means is we're sitting in the end result of creating something. It'll become naturally obvious what the next step is to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might go, oh, that doesn't make sense when I logically think about it. But that's because there's a part of us who's trying to figure out how, and we can release that need to know how and just do what we're inspired, that inspired action and the next obvious thing, rather than trying to figure out the next 10 things. Then it allows that tension to build for that inspired action. So, yeah, there is work to do, but there's nothing to do but action to take.
Yeah. So how does one incorporate this into their day-to-day life?
Mm, great question, especially when we start out on this journey. For me, my personal experience was when I first started thinking about like rituals and what a ritual was, my first thought is, oh, it's this huge like half day thing, and I've got to collect all these things, and I've got to go have a shower for, an hour to wash and cleanse my body, and then sit in this space and meditate for hours. And it's just not necessary. It can be, and that's a beautiful experience to give yourself when you've got the time and space to do those kinds of rituals. But a ritual, really, the best place to start is incorporating it into things that you already do. For example, for me, I don't drink coffee, but I do like, well, I did like tea. Now I'm absolute a tea fanatic. So I've always got my cup of tea, and that ritual of the ritual part of making the tea is just bringing presence to it. It's bringing intention to it. So for me, making this particular cup, I'm already thinking about, oh, I'm going to be spending this time and space on this podcast, and I'm going to have this beautiful conversation. So I'm infusing that tea making process with what I want to create.
Yeah.
And it's helping me to already anchor into our space and our conversation, and having a useful conversation for your listeners.
Yeah.
And then I can just like sit with the tea just for a moment, just to connect with the herbs of the tea, have a moment to let anything intuitively just come up that will serve me for this conversation, and or like my day or the work that I'm about to do or the creative writing I'm about to do. Insert any activity. So the actual making of a cup of tea hasn't taken any extra time, but the flavor and the energy that I've brought to it is more intentional, more present, has a little bit more reverence to it, and just grounds me and anchors me into being in myself and connected to myself and my intuition, and the kind of life that I want to live and I want to create. So to be able to bring rituals into the things that you already do is a great starting point, because you're not creating extra work for yourself.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes when we sign up for courses and we read books, and it's like, okay, how am I going to add like the walk that's healthy for me, and the hours of meditation that's healthy for me, and the yoga that's healthy for me, and the other health modalities, and the sound healing, and like all of a sudden our day's gone. So to incorporate ritual into the things that we already do. Another favorite space of mine to incorporate ritual is the shower. Just like showers can be like these magical portals that can help us process through emotion, like or anything that's coming up. We can let go of things, we can call things in. I just think showers are also a magical place to really connect with yourself as well.
Yeah. I reckon my ritual would be like my morning routine, like doing my skincare, getting dressed, and then, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And because there are times that if you're just bringing that little bit more reverence and connection, as you're choosing what you're going to wear, you're already creating that intention of how your day is going to go.
Yeah. That's why you should always wear what you want to wear, because if you wear something you don't want to wear, then you're going to be like in a bad mood all day.
Exactly. It's so important to feel good. So important to feel good. And we can do that by choosing what we wear on the outside. And that helps us cultivate the kind of person that we want to be as well, and the energy that we want to bring into something. So when you think about it, like even if you're not doing it with intention and reverence, you will dress differently for different occasions.
Yeah.
But what I love about making it a ritual is that you're really thinking about the end result of how you want to be feeling and what you want to create and the experience you want to have. And you'll find that your wardrobe will start to shift and change a little bit and reflect more of your true essence.
Do you have any tips or advice on improving empowerment towards yourself and others?
Ah, juicy question. Let me just think into that for a moment. For me, my sense of empowerment has really come from my ability to be self-sovereign and to cultivate my own sense of self-agency.
Yeah.
And for me to do that has been to really connect with my body. It's been to connect to the wisdom of my body, the wisdom of my intuition, and really strengthening that.
Mm.
Because when I'm intuitively led, I just know what's right for me. I know the kind of places that I want to be, the people that I want to engage with, the conversations I want to have. And when you're following that stream, it is really empowering. Um, and I think, especially when you're, like you mentioned, other people, helping to empower other people, the biggest thing is to always see that person as a genius, as a powerful creator. like we all have our moments when we go into victim and ego and poor me and our wounded inner children. Like we do, we always go into that. But when we have someone holding us and seeing us as a powerful creator, it supports that person to not stay in those cycles, and it helps them lift them up and bring them back to that part of themselves that is sovereign and empowered. So I think it's important self-talk for ourselves, and when we're holding space for other people, to acknowledge the pain that they are feeling and the unmet needs that they have experienced, and to also invite them to step into something different, to have a different experience of themselves. I really love a definition of love that I learned a few years back in a community circle. It was 50% support and 50% challenge.
Yeah.
So the support comes from, like, we're here for you, we've got you, we understand that you're going through a bit of a shit time. And the challenge is we love you enough to say, what are you going to do? Like, you're a powerful adult sovereign person, and we're going to hold you in that, and you have the power to make change. Might not feel like you have much choice at the moment, but you do have the power to make change. That's my big tip for supporting other people.
Yeah, I feel like the first step in empowering yourself is to get rid of all the negativity, like the negative people and the negative things. If you have them in your life, then you're not going to have much empowerment, because you're going to be listening to them, and they're just going to be bringing you down. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love that. It's not that really a saying, but the premise that we're the sum of the 5 people we spend the most amount of time with. And if you're choosing to spend time with people that are at a, let's say, a lower vibration, it's going to be really hard for you to bring yourself out of that. And it's not about leaving people behind who you do actually care for. There are toxic people that, yes, remove them from your life. But there are also people that they're doing the best they can with what they've got, and they just don't know any different. They just might not have the capacity just yet. And it's not about going, see you later. But it is also about bringing other people into your life that can help you rise up. And sometimes we do leave people in relationships because they just don't have the capacity to be in the kind of work or have the kind of life that we know is possible for ourselves. And it is a paradox and a bit of a thing that we don't often think about when we go into this kind of work, that we are actually going to change. And the people that we do currently know don't want us to change, because their identity is also linked to who we are. And if we're changing, what does that make them? What's their role in our life now? And it threatens that. So to be able to have some compassion for some people who just don't understand what it is that you're doing and the change that you want to create for yourself. They're not bad people. They're just not getting it yet. And a quote that I really love is, when I'm living the best life I can live, I'm inspiring others to do the same. So it's not about trying to fix them or trying to tell them that they have to change. It's seeing them as a genius creator. And if they want it, they can change for themselves. But I'm on my path and I'm going to go that way. You can come with me if you like.
Some people might think that your dreams are impossible because they had the same dream and then it didn't work out for them, or yeah, you know, like
Exactly. Yeah. So for you to be able to do something that they weren't able to do, it brings up a lot of stuff. And we can just hold space and have compassion. We don't have to try and fix anything,
yeah,
but we can invite a different perspective and see them as someone who can make a different choice. You
yeah,
know, the way that they tried to do the thing, that may not have worked for them, but there's plenty of other different ways and different things that you can try as well.
yeah. So is there a difference between empowering like others and yourself and then self-confidence and boosting others' self-confidence? Is there a difference?
Hmm. I feel like I do feel like there is a difference. There's a different energy and a different flavor to those things. However, I really feel like the end result is the same.
Yeah.
And the end result is coming into like sovereignty and agency and that real knowing within yourself. Um, I feel like the end result is that development of intuition
Mm.
and living from a heart open, intuitive led space. Um, for me, that's the result of confidence and empowerment.
Do you have any tips on building self-confidence?
Mm. For me, if it's coming from an intuitive space, probably where I feel like I've gained my confidence has been developing my own intuition. There's a practice that you can do where you find out what your yes and what your no is within your body. And when you know what a yes is and you know what your no is, you can start to deepen and strengthen that connection. And the best way to do that is just to start small with daily choices. Like, what kind of tea am I going to make today? Go to a restaurant and picking a meal, picking fruit, you know, which apple is the best one for me. Um, driving somewhere and, you know, should I go this way or should I go that route? And you get a yes or a no, depending like on whatever it is that you're doing. And I feel like by following through with those small choices and making an intuitive decision from those choices, sometimes you will override yourself. You're not always going to listen to your intuition. And there's just as much to learn from that as there is from like getting it right, as also getting it wrong. Sometimes your intuition is off. And at the same time, if you can look at it from different perspectives, there'll be a different kind of reason why your intuition led you down that way and not down another path. Um, so for me, to develop my own confidence in my ability to make my own decisions through my intuition, that was huge.
Yeah. I feel like me taking more risks has made me more confident in myself. Like not caring what others think
Yeah.
and just being myself. Yeah. So have you seen
Mm,
the movie
yeah.
it's I Feel Pretty? Have you seen that movie?
I feel pretty. I feel like I have. Just remind me, is
Amy
that?
Schumer, I think her name is.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And she hits her head and she thinks that like she's become this woman that she's always wanted to be, but the guy she's seeing really likes who she is, like on the outside, but also really likes her self-confidence. So I feel like if you're really self-confident, it makes people more attractive to you than who you are on the outside. So
Also, it's magnetic.
yeah.
It's absolutely magnetic. People can't not. be drawn to that sense of like confidence. And it's a sovereignty that we have within ourselves. Like we come to know who we are. And when you know who you are, you're not afraid to express that version of yourself outwardly. And it does become more magnetic. And people can't not notice you for it.
Yeah. So instead of me like comparing my body to like other people's bodies, like I wish you know, I had those abs or whatever, I compare myself to like I wish I had their confidence. So
Yes.
improving myself on the inside. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, there's people that we admire for different reasons, and
Yeah.
when you can get to the really what is it and nail what it is about a person that you admire, you can try those things on for yourself. Like, what does it feel like to be this kind of archetype or energy? I love playing with those kinds of things, or you know, a different deity, goddess, you know, kind of persona. And it is almost like putting on a new skin and just feeling like, you know, I'm going on a date. What would it be like to, you know, do I want to go in with the energy of a crone or a mother, or do I want to go into with the energy of a maiden or a seductress? You know, like they're all different kind of energies, and there'll be other women in your life that sort of model those kinds of characters. So to flip into the skin of somebody else just to try it on to see if this is something that I want or feels natural is a really great way to play with those aspects of yourself.
I really loved having this discussion with you. Like I've learned so much and yeah, like it's been very beneficial. Yeah.
Thank you. I froth at these kinds of conversations. I just love talking about different ideas, and you know, sometimes things make sense, sometimes things don't, and not everything is for everyone. And it's just again just to find your own path. There isn't a right or wrong way to anything. There is only your way. That's all that matters.
So we're coming to the end of the podcast. There's one more question that I'd like to ask you. What is your best piece of advice?
I think, and I feel like I've mentioned this already, is that piece of when I'm living the best life I can live, I inspire others to do the same. So what that means for me, I'm not trying to fix anybody or change anybody else. All I'm doing is living my best life, and unapologetically as well. So if other people are struggling, I can still be okay. I
Yeah.
can still be having a good life and modeling what that looks like. So I think that is really important.
Yeah. I like that. It's like you just live your life. You don't like care how it's really going to impact on others. You just do it for you, and that's all that matters.
And you'll find that everybody else's life will change with you.
Yeah. So thank you for being on the podcast. Is there anything you would like to promote?
If people are interested in a way to learn your yes or no, there is a little freebie on my website, which is theritualwoman.au/connect. And it is just a ritual to take you through that process of learning your yes and your no. There's also a fun little quiz there as well if you'd like to have a play.
Do you have social media? Or
Yeah, handles are all the same as the website as well, theritualwoman.au.
okay. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I feel like I already said that, but like, I'll say it over and over again because it's been an absolute honor for you to come on. And so I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. Please see all the information in the description, and you will be hearing me and seeing me next week. Bye.
1, 2, 3, 4.